All right, everyone, get ready for this because today we're diving into the age-old debate.
Oh,
Village life versus city life.
I like it.
You know, it's one of those questions that I think pops up
Yeah.
more often than we realize.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is so funny is that the jumping off point for today's deep dive is this YouTube video I found called Learn English with Podcast Conversation, Episode 1 English Podcast for Beginners.
Wow, what a source. What led you to that?
Honestly, I was looking for something else completely different, and that title just kind of grabbed me.
Yeah.
Who hasn't thought about, village versus city life at some point?
Right.
Plus, the video breaks down the whole thing into pros and cons to help people learning English,
Yeah.
and it made me think that we could explore those ideas a little bit deeper.
I like this. Sometimes the most basic way of looking at things,
Mm-hmm.
Can spark a really interesting conversation.
Absolutely. So in the video, you have these two speakers who are talking about which one they like better. And it starts off with that classic argument for village life, peace and quiet and being close to nature,
Right.
which honestly sounds pretty good these days.
It really does, especially with how busy and hectic everything is these days. There's more and more research coming out about how all the noise in cities is really bad for us.
Yeah.
Like it affects how we think and makes us more stressed.
Wow.
But then you have all this research about how being in nature is good for you.
Right.
Less anxiety, you're in a better mood, you might even get more creative.
Interesting.
So it's no wonder that village life seems like the perfect escape for people.
It's like we're programmed to want some peace and quiet.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the video's other speaker makes a good point about cities.
Yeah.
There are just so many more opportunities in a city for education jobs and entertainment.
Mhm.
You're not going to find a fancy concert hall or a Michelin star restaurant out in a small village, are you?
That's true. And I think it shows how important it is to figure out what really matters to you.
Yeah.
What are those things you absolutely can't live without?
Uh-huh.
Is it a job where you can move up?
Mm-hmm.
Is it having the best doctors and hospitals nearby?
Right.
Or maybe you need to be surrounded by art and music.
Interesting.
Those things are a lot easier to find in a city.
What I thought was really interesting is that the video also talks about how different the social scene is.
Oh, yeah?
In a village, you've got that close-knit community where everyone knows your name,
Yeah.
but in the city, you have a lot more independence and you can be anonymous.
Hmm.
Which one of those feels more like you?
That is a tough one.
Right?
I think I see the good in both,
Yeah.
Having people around who know you and can help you, that's really important.
Absolutely.
But there's also something really freeing about being in a city where you can just blend in.
Yeah.
You can be whoever you want to be, try new things, and meet people who like the same things you like.
Right.
Not just because they happen to live down the street.
It's almost like a city gives you permission to try new things.
Totally. And the video even points out that being in a city means you're exposed to a lot of different cultures and types of people, which is a big plus.
Yeah, diversity is definitely more common in the city.
And there's research that backs that up.
Really?
Studies have shown that when you're around people who are different from you, it can actually make you more creative and a better problem solver.
Oh, wow.
It's like exercise for your brain. It challenges the way you think and helps you see the world in new ways.
I like that.
And it's not just about different races or nationalities.
Yeah.
Cities attract people from all sorts of backgrounds, different jobs, different income levels, different lifestyles. And that mix can be really enriching.
So a city is like this big melting pot of experiences and ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
But going back to how the video wrapped things up, it really stressed that both village and city life have their good and bad sides.
And ultimately, the right choice depends on what you need and what you want as a person.
Yeah, it's about finding the place that fits your personality and your values. Exactly.
It's not about saying one is better than the other. It's about finding what works best for you and the life you want to live.
I really like that way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's not about this or that. It's about figuring out what feels right for you in your specific situation.
Right.
And you know what? There's
Mhm.
actually a lot more to this whole village versus city thing than meets the eye.
Oh, yeah.
It connects to some really big changes that are happening in society right now.
Definitely. It's not just a personal choice anymore. It's tied in with economics and technology and how our values are changing as a society.
For example, the rise of remote work has been a huge game changer.
Oh, tell me about it.
Suddenly, that dream of escaping to a peaceful village without giving up your career is actually possible.
Right.
I'm curious, have you seen any research on how this is affecting where people are choosing to live?
There's definitely been a shift away from those really big, expensive cities.
Yeah.
A recent study by the Pew Research Center found that a lot of people have been moving to rural areas in the last few years. And a lot of them are people who can work from anywhere they want. They're looking for a cheaper and more relaxed lifestyle.
That makes total sense. If you don't have to be in an office every day, why not choose to live in a place that really matches your values?
Exactly.
And speaking of values, another big factor seems to be that more and more people are thinking about sustainability.
Absolutely. Sustainability is becoming so important to people, and village life tends to fit better with that kind of thinking.
Right.
Locally grown food,
Yes.
driving more connection with nature.
It's like going back to a simpler way of life, being more mindful.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about the mental health aspect.
Oh, for sure.
With all the stress of modern life, it's no wonder so many people are looking for peace and quiet in nature.
There's a reason why cottagecore and slow living have become so trendy, right?
Yeah.
People are craving a sense of peace and balance,
Right.
and that can be hard to find in the chaos of a city.
It's like we all have this deep down yearning for that village vibe, even if we don't want to give up all the perks of city life. Which makes me wonder, are we heading towards a future where the lines between village and city life get blurred?
I think it's a real possibility. We're already seeing these communities popping up that try to combine the best of both worlds.
Really?
Like planned communities with lots of green spaces, you can walk everywhere, and everyone feels connected,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still close enough to a city, so you can easily get to all the good stuff there.
It's like having your cake and eating it too.
Exactly.
Peace and quiet and a sense of community, but still close to all the fun stuff.
And it's not just about physical places
Hmm.
either. Technology is helping to bridge the gap too.
How so?
We've got online communities that make you feel like you belong,
Mm-hmm.
virtual events where you can connect with people from all over,
Yeah.
and even apps that let you buy food from local farmers and artisans no matter where you live.
It's like we're creating a global village.
Right.
This whole conversation has made me realize something else.
Well,
The video we started with made it seem like comparing village and city life was pretty straightforward.
yeah.
But in reality, it's way more complicated than that, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's not just about picking the spot on a map.
Right.
You have to understand what you're gaining and losing with each choice
Right.
and realize that your needs might change over time.
And that brings up another interesting point.
Hmm.
The video focused on the two extremes, a crazy busy city versus a super quiet village.
Yeah.
But what about all the places in between?
Uh-huh.
Suburbs, small towns, even rural communities that are growing really fast.
You're so right. There are so many different kinds of places to live, and each one has its own unique good and bad points.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about trying to fit yourself into a category.
Yeah.
It's about finding a place that really speaks to your values and how you want to live your life.
It's like finding the right puzzle piece.
Exactly.
And what's really cool is that the right piece for you might change as you go through life.
That's true.
Yeah.
Our needs and priorities change over time.
Yeah.
Someone just starting out in their career might love the energy of a big city,
Yeah.
but when they want to start a family, they might decide a suburb is better because it's safer and has good schools.
Uh-huh.
And then maybe later on in life, they find themselves drawn to the peace and quiet of a rural area.
So it's not just about choosing between village or city life.
Right.
It's realizing that our relationship with where we live is
Yeah.
always changing.
It's dynamic. It's fluid.
And as we go through life, we figure out what fits us best at that moment.
Exactly.
As we're talking about all this,
Yeah.
it makes me think about how much our own experiences shape how we see village versus city life.
Oh, totally. We all bring our own baggage to this debate.
It's true, like someone who grew up in a city with all the noise and crowds might find a quiet village super appealing.
Right.
But someone who grew up in a small town and wished there was more going on might be drawn to the excitement of a city.
Exactly.
Like our past experiences create this compass inside us that tells us what we like. And it's not just about where we grew up, it's also about where we are in life right now.
Right.
A young professional who's trying to build their career and meet people might love living in a big city, but someone who's starting a family might care more about things like safe neighborhoods, good schools, and a strong sense of community.
You're right. Our needs and what we want change over time.
Yeah.
What we liked at 20 might seem completely different at 40 or 60.
It's like there's a time for everything.
Yeah, maybe a time for the village, a time for the city, and even times for those places that are somewhere in between.
I love that idea. It takes the pressure off of making some big, permanent decision.
Right.
And it means we can try different ways of living throughout our lives.
It's about going with the flow of life and finding what fits best in each chapter.
Exactly. And who knows what the future holds? Maybe we'll see even more creative ways to live.
Maybe.
Co-living communities that combine the city and the country.
Oh, yeah. Pop-up villages where you can escape from the city for a while.
Yeah.
Or even high-tech eco-cities that give you all the good stuff about city life, but are good for the environment.
Now you're making me want to go on an adventure.
Me too.
But seriously, this deep dive has really given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
It reminds me that there's no one right way to live.
Yeah.
The most important thing is to find a place that feels like home, whether that's a busy city, a quiet village, or something in between.
Right.
And it's not just about the place itself, it's about the life you create there.
Absolutely.
It's about finding people who support you, doing what you love, and making connections with others no matter where you live.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
So to everyone listening out there, we want to leave you with this question. What does your ideal living situation look like?
Yeah.
Does it have the charm of a village, the energy of a city, or maybe a mix of both?
It's up to you to explore.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, and until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep down.
You know what's really fascinating to me is how this whole village versus city thing isn't just a personal preference anymore.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like it's tied in with all these bigger changes happening in society right now.
It really is. It's connected to the economy, technology, and how our values are shifting.
Exactly. Like, for example, the rise of remote work has been a huge game changer.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
Suddenly, that dream of escaping to a peaceful village without having to sacrifice your career, it's actually a reality for a lot of people now.
Mhm.
Have you seen any data on how this is affecting where people are moving?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely a noticeable trend of people moving away from those big, expensive cities.
Makes sense.
Yeah, a recent study by the Pew Research Center found that rural communities have seen a significant population increase in the last few years.
Wow.
And it seems to be driven by remote workers who are looking for a more affordable and laid-back lifestyle.
I mean, it makes total sense. If you don't have to be in an office 5 days a week, why not prioritize living somewhere that truly aligns with your values, right? And speaking of values, the growing interest in sustainability seems to be playing a role too.
Absolutely. People are becoming so much more aware of their impact on the environment.
Right.
And village life often aligns more closely with sustainable practices.
In what ways?
Well, think about things like locally sourced food, reducing your reliance on cars, and having a stronger connection to nature.
It's like a return to a simpler, more mindful way of life.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can't forget about the mental health benefits either.
Oh, for sure, with all the pressure and demands of modern life, it's no wonder people are seeking refuge in quieter, more nature-connected environments.
It's true.
There's a reason why cottagecore and slow living have become such popular trends, right? People are craving a sense of peace and balance, which can be hard to find in the constant hustle and bustle of a city.
It's almost like we're collectively yearning for that village vibe, even if we don't want to give up everything about urban life. Which makes me wonder, could we be headed toward a future where the lines between village and city life become more blurred?
I think that's a real possibility. We're already seeing the emergence of these hybrid communities that try to offer the best of both worlds.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Think about planned communities that prioritize green spaces, walkability, and a sense of community.
Okay.
But they're still located within easy reach of urban amenities.
That sounds pretty ideal.
Right. It's like having your cake and eating it too. You get the tranquility and connection of a village setting, but with the convenience and opportunities of a nearby city.
I love that. And it's not just about physical spaces either. Technology is playing a role in bridging that gap too.
Absolutely.
How so?
Well, we have online communities that foster a sense of belonging, virtual events that connect people across geographical boundaries,
Right.
and even apps that allow you to access local farmers markets and artisan goods, no matter where you live.
It's like creating a global village in a sense.
Exactly.
But you know, this whole conversation has got me thinking about something else. The video we started with presented a pretty straightforward comparison of village versus city life.
Right.
But in reality, it's so much more nuanced than that.
Absolutely.
It's not just about picking a location on a map.
It's about understanding the trade-offs and acknowledging that your own needs might change over time.
Exactly. And recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
And that brings up another interesting point.
Okay.
The video focused on the two extremes, the bustling city versus the quiet village.
Mm-hmm.
But what about all the shades in between?
Mm.
What about suburban life, small towns, or even those rural communities that are experiencing rapid growth?
You're hitting on a really important point there, Thing. The spectrum of living environments is vast, and each one offers its unique set of advantages and challenges.
It's less about fitting into a predetermined category and more about finding a place that truly resonates with your individual values, lifestyle, and aspirations.
Exactly.
It's like finding the right puzzle piece that fits perfectly into your life at that particular moment.
I like that.
And what's even more intriguing is that the right piece might change over time as we go through different stages of life.
Absolutely. Our needs and priorities evolve as we grow and change.
Right.
A young professional might thrive in the energy of a big city, while someone starting a family might prioritize the safety and community of a suburb.
Yeah.
And later in life, that same person might find themselves drawn to the peace and tranquility of a rural setting.
So it's not about choosing between a village or city life once and for all.
Right.
It's about recognizing that our relationship with where we live is dynamic, fluid, and constantly evolving. It's like our own experiences really color how we view this whole village versus city thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like someone who grew up in a big city surrounded by noise and crowds might think a quiet village sounds amazing.
Right. But on the other hand, someone who's spent their childhood in a small town and always wished there was more to do might be drawn to the excitement of a city.
Exactly. It's like our past experiences create this kind of internal compass that guides our preferences.
I like that. And it's not just about where we grew up. It's also about where we are in life right now.
Right. A young professional who's trying to climb the career ladder and build a social network, they might really thrive in a fast-paced city.
Yeah. But someone who's starting a family might prioritize different things, like safe neighborhoods, good schools, and that strong sense of community you often find in village life.
You're hitting on a key point. Our needs and desires, they change over time.
They do. What might have appealed to us at 20 might look totally different at 40 or 60.
It's almost like there's a time and a place for everything.
Maybe there's a time for the village, a time for the city, and even times for those in-between spaces we talked about.
I love that perspective. It takes the pressure off of having to make a permanent decision.
Right.
It allows us to experience different ways of living throughout our lives.
Exactly. Embracing the flow of life and finding the right fit for each chapter.
And who knows what the future holds?
Who knows?
We might see even more creative living solutions pop up.
Like
co-living communities that blend the city and the countryside pop-up villages that offer a temporary escape from city life. Or even technologically advanced eco-cities that provide all the benefits of urban living with a minimal impact on the environment.
that would be cool.
I know, right?
What?
This deep dive has really given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
It's a good reminder that there's no right or wrong way to live. The most important thing is to find a place that feels like home, whether that's a bustling city, a peaceful village, or something in between.
Well said.
And ultimately, it's not just about the place itself, but about the life you create there.
It's about finding a community that supports you, following your passions, and making meaningful connections with others.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So, to our listeners out there, we want to leave you with this question. What does your ideal living situation look like?
Does it have the charm of a village, the energy of a city, or a unique blend of both?
The choice is yours to explore. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and until next time, keep diving deep.